Hashem says, "Tiftach u'yagita asacha." We now have the zechus of learning the 46th Perek of Yeshayahu. This Perek highlights some very interesting things about Avodah Zarah and some beautiful concepts, especially during the month of Elul, that we can take. So first of all, in Pasuk Aleph, it talks about Karab Bel Kores Nevo Hayu Atzvasehem L'chaya U'lebehema Nosehem Amusos Masa La'ayafa. What does that mean? That the Avodah Zarah squats and goes to the bathroom on themselves, and their idols are like beasts to the cattle. What you carry is made a load, a burden for the weary. What in the world is this talking about? So essentially, Avodah Zarah is oftentimes compared to feces. Now, before we just find this to be repulsive, there is a very interesting idea of why that is so. When a person eats, they digest, they take all the good, and what do? They release the stuff that is not helpful to them. Avodah Zarah actually took the good, it took the concepts of a deity, it took the concepts of power, it took the concepts perhaps of the power of anything from celestial beings, all the good. But what did it do? It held on to the bad. It released the good. It held on to the idea that there is that itself is the power. That's not true. That's holding on to the bad stuff. The good stuff, how we value certain things, that's nice. But when you don't release the bad part, then it ends up being not in our favor. And Rabbi Rosner mentioned something very beautiful. The idea of the ephod, the apron that was used by the Kohen Gadol. So the idea was that it was tied in the back. Why would it be tied in the back? Shouldn't it be tied in the front? So the answer is because the ephod was machaper for Avodah Zarah. The ephod was a atonement. It was supposed to atone for the Avodah Zarah. So that's why it's tied in the back, because the back highlights where one goes to the bathroom. In any event, the idea really is that it's a very low level. It's something that brings, all of waste. Now, the idols are also like beasts to the cattle. Why? Because in fact, what would happen is when the people took on Avodah Zarah, so first of all, it's called asabehem, from the word atzuv, from the word sad, because it would sadden them that they would believe in something that doesn't actually bear fruit. It doesn't help them. And so they would keep continuing. We remember from the time with Yeshayahu with Har Carmel that the people were, remember, he goaded them on. And he said, okay, make your Avodah Zarah, do something. And they were davening to their God, and they were doing everything, and to the point where they were even like releasing blood, and they were crying so hard because they wanted so much that Avodah Zarah would help them, but of course it did not. And so here we have an understanding that the Avodah Zarah turned them into, animalistic, took away their human qualities, and really lowered them in a depressed kind of way. Not only that, and what does it mean? That it was something that the carry is made a load, and it would it was a burden for the people that were weary, that were tired. So in fact, what would happen during the time of Koresh, what happened was they took all of the Avodah Zarah from the people of Bavel, and they took all the gold. It was laden with gold and silver, and they took it off of their Avodah Zarahs, and they melted it, and then they carried it away. And it was very heavy. There was so much gold and silver. But it highlights something which this Perek really emphasizes. With all of this disgustingness that we're discussing, is that Avodah Zarah, or in those times Avodah Zarah, but now you can replace that with the idea of what gold or silver or power or prestige or any of the temptations or the desires that we have in this world in the current moment. What they really are, they're just a burden for the weary. They're not something that actually ends up delivering what they say they're going to deliver. And it's just a never-ending cycle of not leading to anywhere. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, that the people, they soiled themselves with their avodah zarah. It never helped them. It never delivered anything. It never took them out of captivity. But in fact, b'shebi halcha, in fact, it creates captivity. You go into captivity when that becomes the source of who you're all about. It's kind of a someone who's mimics the idea of a hamster running around in that circle thing again and again and again. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, what is this for? It's not for anything. Instead, Shimu alai Beis Yaakov, listen to me, B'chol Sheiris Beis Yisrael, and all the remaining people of Yisrael, Ha'amusim mini beten, Hanosim mini rechem, the people that are born from birth and carried to the womb. Now, this is the most beautiful, beautiful part of the Perek, something that we should always remember, something that is just so magnificent. And that is the image that HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates us from the womb. And at first, it's easier to carry. And then later, that's why it's just born from them. But then, Hanosim mini rechem, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu then carries us from the womb. But then, it continues. Ba'ad zikna anihu, and he carries us through old age. Ba'ad seva ani yasbol, and he carries us even more in even older age. Ani asisi v'ani aseh, ani yasbol v'amaled. I made you, I'll carry you, I'll take care of you forever. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of us from the time that we are the womb until the tomb, they say. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us. And there are so many ways to think about this. So one way is that the 5 words that are used here are likened, where Hashem is saying how much he takes care of us. One would think that it is similar to the way that people are. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes sure, that when he's saying things like Nasa Adam, we will make man, he's not really emphasizing that Hashem is not like man. We are there to emulate Hashem, but we are in no way on the level of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But in that way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises, and he says, just like the mashal the Chafetz Chaim gives of someone who's riding, a rider picks up a passenger, and the passenger the whole time is carrying, all of his bundle of whatever he brought onto the wagon, and the rider says, "What are you doing? Put it down, relax. I've got it." He says, "No, I don't want to make it even harder for you, so I'm going to hold it." And the person says, "What are you talking about?" The rider said, the driver says, "It doesn't make a difference. I picked you up and I'm going to take you from point A to point B. It's not going to make a difference if you hold on to your package or if you don't hold on to your package. It's the same thing." And essentially, that really is the idea of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he picks us up and he holds on to us forever. And it's not going to make a difference to him if we worry about our what we go through, and we hold on to our peckles of difficulty. Really, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he carries us, and he carries all of that with us. Ya'asehu al ketzep yispalehu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu carries us on his us, and all of what we carry in our life is all carried by Hashem. But it starts in the womb. It starts then, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees. And just like you see, interestingly, the people that are completely taken care of in a carriage are oftentimes the kid, as well as a very old person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, once you're in my carriage, you're in that carriage forever. And he loves us and he takes care of us. And that's unlike, and that's in contradistinction to avodah zarah. Avodah zarah, or any of the pursuits, any of the things that we care about in life, those just don't, we carry them, right? We take the gold or we take the money, we put it in our pocket, and we bring it with us wherever we go. But the money or the gold or the kavod or whatever, what is it? It doesn't carry us. And so we have to recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, it's different. I'm different than all of these other things that you think are important. Those things are not important because I carry you while you carry it. So, Zechruzo, remember this, V'hishta'ashu, and strengthen yourselves. Hashibu Pushim Aliv. Remember, take heart. This is a time of tshuva. This is a time of Elul. Remember me, remember this concept, and do something. Return to me, and return your heart to me. Zechru mishonos me'olam. Right? Remember the first things of old. What is that? What is the first concept? Ki anochi kel. I am Hashem, the Ein Od Elokim be'efes kamoni. There's no one else like me. Go back to the basics. We're in the time of Elul. Do your Aleph Beis. What's your Aleph? Anochi Hashem Elkecha. Remember that. And remember that there's no one else that is going to be able to help you. Magid Mirashis Achris. That is from the beginning of time till the end. Mikedem Asher Lo Na'asu. Right? So you have to understand, before me, nothing was there. And it was in my desire to create you. That's why I created you. And so you have to understand that there's nothing else. There's just me. Or you can have an understanding that unlike the Goyim, this is being a prophecy that's going to be said, let's say, about Koresh. So that happens hundreds of years later. And when Hashem says something, it happens. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, he created two different types of existence. The first was that there was going to be the idea of nature. Every time I throw something up and it falls to the ground, why does it do that? Why doesn't it stay up? Because of the rules of nature, the rules of gravity. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before the world was officially created, he also put in another rule, and that's the rule of Nes. And so he has all of the Nesim, like splitting of the sea, everything that happened, that was all decided in advance and beforehand. But it's all created by Hashem, and it's all there. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it. So that's why he can say something hundreds of years later, it'll come true. Everything that he says come true. Everything that he says by the Nevi'im come true. And that's something that we can take stock and believe in. Koreh Mizrach Ayit, call from the east a swift bird. Who is that swift bird? Some say it's Koresh, who was able to win so easily Me'eretz Merchak from a faraway land. Ish Atzaso Afdibarti. I spoke and I'm also going to bring it. I formed it. I do all of it. So it was very easy for Koresh. He was able to just come on in and win. Another way to interpret it is the ayat is Avram Avinu. And Avram came and he was able, with his Ish Atzaso, with his ideas, he brought ideas into the world that weren't there. The things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the superpower. He brought all of this into the world. And so again, Hashem reminds us, please listen, understand that the Goyim, they're so far from righteousness. They're not karavti tzadki lo terchak. I brought near all my righteousness. It's not so far. And they got it wrong, but you don't have to get wrong. I will give it all of you. Lo tachav nasati b'tzion shua. I'm going to give shua. I'm going to give salvation to you, my Yisrael, because I love you. And in Yisrael Tiparti, you are everything to me. You don't have to do always right. You can get it wrong. But Hashem says, just come back to me. Do the tshuva. Find me a relationship with me. Understand I'm the real deal. There's no one else but me. So if you give too much stock to the other things, if you spend your time and patience and care to think that other things are going to get you the satisfaction and the good things in life, then atzabehem, it's going to be sad for you. It's not going to work out. But I believe in you and I don't give up on you. And I loved you. And the Malachim said, why would you create a person? They're going to just let you down. Hashem said, no, I am going to, because I want to create the people. And once we were created B'Tselem Elokim, consistently the Malachim were like, see, look, they're not good. And Hashem says, no, I'm going to love them forever. It's a relationship forever. And that relationship gets renewed, especially during the month of Elul, where Hashem is so close to us. So Mirch Hashem, we have to continue to push to try to find Hashem, to try to find the truest idea of what is in existence in our lives that will really yield results. And that is our closeness and v'halachta b'drachav, to follow in the ways of Hashem. And he mentions tzedakah mishpat because it's through the chesed, it's through kindness and through righteousness and through walking in his ways, the way that he is, the way that he doesn't give up on us, the way that he carries us. If we emulate that and we really believe and tap into it, Hashem, we will continue to reap all the benefits that Hashem promises.